Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Earth Defense Force Iron Rain. Been waiting a while for this one. Honestly, I saw the fact that Ukes were developing this one, aka the people who develop the WWE games, which are known for being broken games, and I was thinking to myself, is that good or bad for Earth Defense Force? Well, we're about to find out. So, just before I begin, this was supplied to me by Play Asia. If you want to support me in the channel, link in the description, follow it, buy something, use the coupon code, you save a bit of money and you throw a bit of help my way. So, you know, thanks if you do that. Notably, you have to change the voice setting out here. I haven't actually tried the other voices. It's funny that there's Korean. I'm almost half tempted to just use the Korean dub from now on. We're gonna stick with the English dub because it's horrible. And I don't mean horrible in the way that Earth Defense Force does, you know, sort of shifty but otherwise actually really enjoyable to listen to dubs. No, it's just shit. It's just absolute shit. It's kind of disappointing actually. So, if we load up my game, you might notice that I have two save games here, and there's a reason for this. The main reason being that the game has a really dumb way of handling difficulty in the first couple of missions. I started the game on hardest, thinking, oh, I might actually have a chance of pulling this off, because they actually let you choose your difficulty at the very beginning, but for some reason they don't let you change it for the first couple of missions. So I'm just thinking through, I'm going to have to play this on hardest, aren't I? Because the game gets really hard after like the first mission if you're playing on hardest with normal level gear. It does work the same way as regular EDF. You do get the ability to swap the mission difficulty eventually, but yeah, just stay on normal for a little while and then eventually you'll get the gear you need in order to actually make it through hardest without getting your shit kicked in. So let's just load up my game that has 3 hours on it. So here we are. We do have an online multiplayer mode. I haven't tried it. I also haven't played any of the online co-op, just FYI. But, I mean, it's 4 versus 4 EDF, and honestly, the versus modes in the previous games weren't great. I know it's a bit more mechanically deep in this one, but, well, I'm here for the campaign. I'm always here for the campaign. So, we're just gonna pop into single player, and yes, here's my dude. He's ripped. He's got a pale wing skirt. And for some reason his face is entirely blue and featureless. That's what picking random at the character customization screen does, kids. So let's go have a look at the options real quick. Sensitivity, tilting, panning, and control type. Control type B is a lot closer to the regular old EDF control scheme, but type A is something a little bit more normie. I would recommend keeping it on type B though, because you really do want easier access to your energy moves. You've got a ton of different options actually, including a different view type, which is kind of neat. We're going to actually stick it on type A. I haven't been playing on that, but I'm going to keep it on type A. You got quick turning, screen shaking, energy blur, event camera, just a fair amount of different options going on here, including motion blur and aiming depth of field, which is kind of nice to be able to turn them off. You can, of course, also turn on subtitles and control a voice playback, which I don't actually recall hearing. But whatever. You get a fair amount of options. You can also come here to customize your character, and you can just hit random to get a completely new character. And there are a fair amount of visual customization options. It's just that you actually have to play through the game in order to unlock them. So it's kind of nice, in a way. So we'll deal with equipment later, but here are the missions. I'm up to mission 19. As far as I've been made aware, there are 55 missions in this game, which is not many considering that Earth Defense Force 5 had 100 something. I haven't actually finished Earth Defense Force 5 yet. I really do need to get around to it when I have 25 hours spare. So you do have your 4 difficulties here. There are, of course, 5 difficulties, although I believe it's called Disaster and not Inferno in this one. And the damage from friendly fire is up. Obviously, you take more damage from everything else. We're just going to keep it on normal for the purpose of, well, basically not being completely and utterly insane. So, we got our weapons, of course. Now, the weird thing about this game is that all the weapons can be used on all the classes. So if you want to carry around a assault rifle and a grenade launcher as a pale wing, you can do that. If you want to carry around energy weapons as a ranger, you can do that. They've actually changed up the classes a little bit for this one, so it's a little bit different, but we'll get to it in just a moment. I'm just thinking of what weapons I should take along. I should probably take along... Yeah, let's take along something a little bit more actively useful. Let's take along a... I don't want to take along a rampage because that delayed trigger response hurts a little bit more than you might expect. And there are, of course, some really random weapons as well, like 5% probability of a bullet doing 300 damage. But every bullet otherwise does 8 damage, which is basically nothing. So you do have to be kind of careful about that. Let's just buy a regular old assault rifle and we'll just take that along. We'll keep the sniper rifle. So... yes, you've got a few different classes of weaponry. They're all up the top there. They're all pretty self-explanatory, actually. Nothing really out of the ordinary so far, at least. So you can see here that you actually have to buy your weapons. The way the weapon system works in this game is that when you finish a mission, you get a predetermined weapon that you can just immediately buy. Except it depends on whether or not you have the energy gems and the money. You get money just by finishing the mission, and you get energy gems as drops from pretty much every enemy in the game. It depends on the enemy type that you're killing, of course. You've also got items. Now, items are actually where they've put a fair few things, like grenades, landmines, vehicles, which is interesting, because that means you can even carry along vehicles as like a fencer, or the fencer equivalent if you like. Item drops, dummy balloons, healing... overdrive, which we'll get to, and even resurrection devices, which is interesting. The way these work is that they will actually be taken away from your money at the end of the mission if you use them. So if you can just carry them along if you like, and if you don't need them, great, you get the spare money. But if you don't need them, woohoo, you get to carry along, you get to just bring down the vehicle and just beat the crap out of everything. You can also change the G-Lyre. Let's not spoil the surprise, shall we? So, I'm actually going to be playing as the Prowl Rider for the first mission, which is our brand new class. What does the Prowl Rider do? Well, we get to find out. We'll probably also get a cutscene here, but it's kind of random whether or not you get a cutscene. This game does have a fair few... more cutscenes, but it doesn't get anywhere near as deep as you might expect it to, considering that. It doesn't rely on the audio drama style that Earth Defense Force mainline games do, which is interesting. But at the same time, the cutscenes just don't do much for the story either, so you just find yourself thinking, this doesn't seem necessary. But it's not like it's a massive detriment outside of the terrible voice acting.
This mission is to eliminate the aggressors.
Eliminate the aggressors? Don't have to tell me twice. Yeah, I'm not getting shit from this distance. Good lord. Yeah, active reloads are a thing now. I know. Just hold. Ooh. Oh, I was hoping I took it out in one shot. Nope. It's gonna take 3. There we go. That's a drop ship, if you couldn't tell. Alright, so if you haven't played Earth Defense Force before, despite the fact that you're watching this channel, I don't know where you've been. But the basic idea is there are enemies of many kinds. In this case, it appears to be ones that fly more than anything else, although I'm assuming that the ground ones will eventually make their presence known to us. And you just have to destroy everything. More or less. You get 2 weapons, infinite ammo, and more or less told to go nuts. Mission over, I suppose? I mean, well, description over, I should say. It is a very simple premise. And all you need to do is just go around and beat the crap out of everything. So, this guy does have a special ability of a kind. He has the ability to fly around, more or less. And that's what the energy meter is in the bottom right, which is a new mechanic for EDF, which is a little bit strange. But yes, you do have energy to worry about now. This energy does do things, obviously, for the Prowler Rider. His ability to swing around like Spider-Man, except not really, it's actually kind of finicky, and we'll get into why shortly, is determined by his energy meter. And his energy meter will recharge when you're not using it, and it will go down when you are using it. And just like the energy tank from the Pale Wing in Earth Defense Force proper, it will need to recharge if you use it all completely, but even if you just leave like 1% left in the tank, it'll still let you use it. That's just how this sort of thing works. You do also have the ability to overdrive. However, you can only overdrive once per mission, so it's worth saving. Overdrive not only gives you infinite energy, which lets you do your thing pretty much as you want for as long as you can handle it, but it also increases your attack rate. So an assault rifle that has just the right fire rate will start feeling like miniguns. Rocket launchers will fire like crazy, and the reload times go to next to nothing. So even if you are... the reload times go to next to nothing. So even if you're using a weapon that reloads in like 30 seconds, it'll get cut down to like 3 or 4 seconds. So you can just be constantly pushing out more powerful weaponry, which is a cool idea, actually. Except I kind of have a problem with it. Like, I have a problem with a lot in this game, but at the same time, I like a lot of the things they've done. So it's kind of a wash in that sense. But my problem with Overdrive giving you... My problem with Overdrive only being usable once, more or less. I mean, you can carry along an item, which I have with me, that gives you an extra Overdrive. My main problem with it being only once per mission is that you end up saving it, thinking that, oh, there's going to be a bigger problem around the corner. And sometimes there is, and sometimes there's not. And when there's not, you feel like you've just wasted the opportunity to use an Overdrive. And considering this game actually ranks you on how well you do in the mission, it can be a little bit annoying when that does happen. There is also the idea that you don't really know what's coming in the mission. So if you think that there's something that's being particularly difficult and you think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to pop my Overdrive now, the mission will be over when I'm done, no problem whatsoever. And then another wave comes along with like 2 extra dudes that you just had trouble fighting 3 of. Yeah, that can kind of come back to bite you in the backside. And speaking of biting you in the backside... oh, that's not the truck I was expecting to drive. But okay, yes, you can drive around civilian vehicles in this one as well. It's actually kind of recommended that... I just realized that Honk Horn has an ammo counter. What the fuck? Okay, never mind. Right. Oh, good. It's these bastards. These are the Prowlers. No, not Prowlers, sorry. Oh my goodness. That's a... that's a problem. Also, did you hear Dr. Mengele there? I need to get away. I need to get my tank out at this rate. I don't stand a chance. Whoa. Yes, it does have the out of the battle area countdown that you have to be worried about with this sort of shit. Also, Overdrive. Fuck it, why not? I just heard my speaker and my thing go off. Yes, this is what the Prowler Rider can do in Overdrive when they're not actually wandering around inside, when they're actually not on foot. They actually get the ability to drive around a giant bug. and fight other giant bugs. Because why the fuck not? This is actually kind of awesome. There are a lot of kind of awesome things going on in this game. This entire class is just kind of ridiculous. Having the ability to fly around like Spider-Man is one thing, but driving around a giant thing like this and just beating the crap out of everything that dares to even get close to you is something else, man. Also, I can do an SP attack, so if I hop out of him now, away he goes. Oh, and here's what I mean when I say the reload time's much quicker. See? Okay, now I can hear it. I couldn't actually hear the controller speaker sound over my actual speaker, but it does appear to do things like the heads-up display lady. But nevertheless, let's just hop into my tank and use that for a while. Yes, every class can call in a tank. Every class can call in a tank, and I appreciate this quite rightly, because it's just cool being able to call in a tank as anyone. So, all the classes actually have, like, much more usability than they used to before. I just ran over my own dude. I'm sorry, buddy. All the classes have a lot more usability than they do before, because they all run the same weaponry. They can all call down the same vehicles. The only real difference between them is their maneuverability, how much damage they take, and how many items they can carry into the field. The Ranger can carry the most items, so he can carry like 3 or 4 vehicles in without breaking a sweat. Everybody else can only really carry 1 or 2, or they can carry in a bunch of healing items. So, you know, that's just a thing, right? But it also makes them a lot less unique. Like, the thing about the Fencer equivalent in this game, the controls are a little bit oversensitive on the tank, but, I mean, it's Earth Defense Force, what do you expect? The thing is, are there any more of those blasters lying around? Because you don't actually get to, the vehicles don't actually replenish. I'm just going to use my Vulcan missiles, and just, Wyvern missiles I should say, and just beat them senseless. But yeah, the thing is that they're all a lot less unique. Admittedly, they do get unique abilities. The Fencer equivalent gets The Fencer equivalent gets an energy shield that they can throw out in front of them, and it will block every shot. The Prowl Rider obviously gets the gigantic Scorpion. Oh yeah, new feature they actually added here. You get 30 seconds at the end of each level to actually go around and pick up energy crystals, which is a neat idea, but at the same time, when they're so spread out like this and you're on one of the slower classes like the Fencer, good luck getting all of them. So yeah, you might as well just do the same old thing, wait for there to be one enemy left, go grab all the energy gems you can, and hope for the best. With the Pale Wing class, you get to fly around, obviously. And with, yeah, see, I used some items there, so it gave me less credits overall, but I did do pretty well on the mission, which is nice. 66% of the energy gems. It's nice that I don't punish you. AA is the highest rank you can get, by the way. I've gotten 4 gold stars, and it still only gives me an AA rank. There's no, like, S rank or anything like that. So yeah, there's the new weapons I got. A new sniper rifle and a new grenade launcher, and some sorcery fields, apparently. A giant appears. Oh boy, let's just pop back to earlier mission. Yeah, swarm in the dunes. Why not? We will change our gear to the heavy striker. More defense, but less mobility and iron capacity. The trooper, slightly less defense, but tons of iron capacity. And the jet lifter, which has, of course, the jetpack on the back, but way less defense. We're going to play as the heavy striker. The heavy striker does actually get a really nice benefit, and I'm not going to go into it until we're actually in the game. I'm going to go with the rampage, and I don't want a sniper rifle for this guy. I want rocket launchers. So yeah, this guy doesn't get the G-Liar, which is a weird way of saying it, but whatever. But let's just hop in and go anyway. Only up to 4 vehicles are permitted to be requested for a single mission. Interesting. I'm not actually that much bigger, despite how it looks.
Roger that. Blast team, let's go.
But yeah. So he has a shield in front of him that can block pretty much every attack imaginable. He also gets this. You might have noticed that rocket launcher only had 4 shots in it. Well, if you're playing as the fencer equivalent, all your weapons actually count as double. Which is a really interesting concept actually, because it makes some weapons that wouldn't be particularly useful or noteworthy on some classes actually way more notable here. So since you get 2 weapons, it can turn certain assault rifles into flippin' chain guns. Like, for example, I'm using the Rampage here. I wouldn't normally use Rampage on any other class because it has a slight firing delay, which means that any opportunity to get knocked off course, for example, would make things a bit of a bitch to deal with, because as soon as you get hit, you have to get back up and then you have to hold the fire button again in order to start the firing process, which I don't like. However, with the Fencer class, I can never remember what these things are bloody called, but with this class, you have the ability to hold your energy shield up and then fire away. So you actually have the ability to turn not so useful weaponry into very useful weaponry. You can also just take along an absolute ton of explosives. Like, for example, my favorite thing to do with this guy is take along the 3-way grenade launcher, because it turns a 3-way grenade launcher into a 6-way grenade launcher. And you deal so much damage to literally everything in front of you, it's actually kind of nutty. Everyone also has the ability to sprint, but for the heavier classes, that is to say the Pale Wing and the Fencer equivalents, you use energy when you do it. You do also have maneuver abilities, like if you get knocked over, you can hit the L2 button to do a quick maneuver to get back up, but it will cost you energy. It's also a little bit annoying because some of these maneuvers that you can do, especially with the Pale Wing and the Prowl Rider, respectively, their maneuvers are actually surprisingly difficult to control. Like, it's the on-foot equivalent of the Earth Defense Force vehicles, which is a little bizarre, I gotta say, but there are definitely... Whoops. Oh, the Fencer doesn't have the maneuver ability. Right. Awesome. But yeah, some of these movements are actually really clunky, especially the Prowl Rider in general. Like, after having played Marvel's Spider-Man, I can kind of understand why I'm having trouble, but at the same time, there are some really minor things that stick out. Like, it's really hard to get on the roof of a specific building, because you'll just go flying past it if you come at it with enough speed, and there doesn't seem to be a really good way to slow yourself down. And the Pale Wing, flying with the Pale Wing is actually a real big pain in the neck. Because flying around with the Pale Wing means that you end up having a lot of deceleration to do. It's not like Earth Defense Force mainline entries where you slow down, like not on the drop of a hat, but you brake really quickly. In this game, you have inertia to deal with, and inertia plus Pale Wing is actually kind of sucky. It makes the Pale Wing actually a lot harder to control, and in all honesty, the Prowl Rider, while not exactly the best example of, like, a better example of the Pale Wing, kind of makes the Pale Wing obsolete, because the Pale Wing just has the same ability of you get infinite energy when you go into overdrive and your weapons get faster, but it doesn't have anything along the lines of the Prowl Rider's gigantic bloody scorpion that you can ride around on. So if you want to go for big weapon firing, you want to go with the Ranger. If you want to go with the Trooper, I should say. If you want like massive firepower all the time, you want to go with this guy. And if you want maneuverability, you'll probably take the Prowl Rider over the Pale Wing equivalent because it just isn't the best maneuverability anymore. And considering that you don't actually get like any sort of special weaponry to help out with that, the Pale Wing just ends up feeling weaker than most of the other classes, and it's kind of disappointing in that sense. Like, I've been playing mainly as the Fencer for the... Well, you actually don't unlock all the classes right away, I should point out. You have to get to a certain point in the campaign, so you will have to get used to the Trooper. And they'll introduce the Fencer and the Prowl Rider right as you start needing them, which is actually kind of nice. But yeah, the Pale Wing, considering the fact that it doesn't have access to the highest damage weapons in the game, its maneuverability has been pretty heavily nerfed, and there's just nothing unique about it that isn't fulfilled by the Fencer equivalent, the Trooper, or the Prowl Rider. It just feels kind of pointless in this one. Which is disappointing, I have to say. What else is there to talk about? Well, the guns, as I have already mentioned, nothing particularly special yet, but then again, I am only 3 hours in, and you do unlock the higher tier stuff as you play on the higher difficulties. The problem with playing on the higher difficulties is that you don't actually unlock the higher tier weapons in the same way you used to, because again, you have to buy them, and unlocking higher tier weapons in this game means that you need a lot of these resources that the enemies are dropping. They do also drop health, because, you know, that's just a thing that they've been dropping forever, and, well, they're still doing it, thank God. It is just worth noting that you do have to spend a lot of resources in order to actually unlock the higher tier stuff, which means that you probably won't be seeing the higher tier amounts of resources until you play on the higher difficulties, like, for real. You do get more resources per enemy if you're playing on a higher difficulty. That is just a thing. Once I overdrive and make sure I take this thing out immediately. And you can see that these rockets are just coming out super quickly. I also have infinite boost, which means I can just go and grab these gems over here while I've got the opportunity. I've already talked about how the voice acting is absolutely terrible, and it is. It's mainly... Well, actually, it's kind of a combination of both the script writing and the voice acting. It's gone from cheesy B-movie to absolute cringe. It's gone from something that Red Letter Media would do a spotlight on to something that would be on the best of the worst, in that kind of sense. It's just disappointing. It's not only the fact that the voice acting is really bad, it's also, like, it's hard to believe that something is cliche for Earth Defense Force. Like, what a bizarre concept. Something being cliche for Earth Defense Force. But we were talking about Dr. Madnar, who's obviously the sort of, like, German foreign scientist trope that they've got going on in this series, because it was a thing in 4, it's a thing in 5, and it's even worse. Like, the voice acting is just so bad. It's literally like they're trying to take the piss. They're taking the piss out of the German scientist stereotype, and it's just, it's awful. And all the other characters, while they don't get to that level, are usually around it. And it's just kind of disappointing in that sense. Because I do enjoy listening to the sort of random crap the EDF gets up to. You know, all sorts of, like, oh, there's a new enemy. all the weird crap they get up to, all of the cool stuff that's happening that I can't see. And in this game, it's all kind of gone and just replaced with, like, bullshit. Like, the squad members, which you don't actually fight with, by the way, they all just kind of die. And they all just kind of die and end up not being particularly useful, especially on the harder difficulties. But yeah, it all just gets replaced with sometimes funny, but sometimes absolute, like, spine-breakingly cringe-worthy bullshit voice lines. And it's just, it's not that great. It really isn't. Combine this with the fact that they seem to have tried to make more of a focus on the story by having, like, in-depth cutscenes and stuff like that, but again, it doesn't really feel like it's being in-depth at all. It just kind of feels like it's being, it's just... Imagine how EDF would do the sort of, you know, cutaway cutscenes. And you'll have how EDF IR is handling it, and it just seems like kind of a waste. So yeah, story, so far at least, not that good. The idea is that you are a soldier that was fighting with the EDF about 7 years before the plot of the game, but the aggressors, which are, you know, the usual suspects, invaded about 8 years before that. So yeah, you're more or less just trying to fight them off, but you are the only person who gets to overdrive. Unless you're playing online co-op, of course, in which case everyone can overdrive. And it's just not that entertaining. Because there's nothing really to it. It's the same sort of stuff that you've seen in Earth Defense Force before. The enemy mothership is invading, go kill it. There are a couple of neat, like, little mission design things, though. We might as well get onto the mission design. A lot of missions are same old, enemies are invading, go kill them, which is fine. But there are a couple of neat ones as well, like, there's missions where you actually have to actively defend places, which is pretty cool. Like, being able to just find a defense target and defend it from enemies approaching from all sides. Those are all pretty neat. It adds to the variety. There are some enemies that you have to take out in an earlier mission that you only have to shoot the legs, because if you shoot the main body, you'll fail the mission. So you have to take that into account, which is kind of neat.
And fasten the helmet of your armor.
And sometimes they give you things like little countdowns where you have to actively survive. So it's not like Earth Defense Force where literally every mission is wipe out every enemy. They do have a little bit of variety, which I appreciate. Like, thumbs up. There's nothing wrong with it. There are also, like, little hidden collectibles around the place. Like, every mission has a missing in action drone and a gem cache for you to go and beat the crap out of in order to get some extra stuff. And, yeah. Yay. Plenty of money in A rank, because, yeah, that was easy. So yeah, thumbs up on the mission variety, and thumbs up on the enemy variety, too. Because the enemy variety in this game is actually really nice. I like a lot of the new designs they've got in. Honestly, considering it's a jet lifter, it'd probably be just as useful with the same set of weaponry, but nah, let's do something a little bit fun. Let's check out the swords. I haven't actually bought any of the swords yet, but we'll do it anyway. So I'll take a sword, and yeah, I should probably hang on to a rocket launcher just to be safe. And let's bring in another vehicle to actually check out. Let's Nightcrawler, or should I buy the sky? Let's buy the Skyfish. Sure, why not? We'll take along the Skyfish. And we'll change the mission, of course. What do I want to use? Or what do I want to actually play as? Glowing pincers? Sure. But yeah, I like the enemy variety they got going on as well. They're still introducing new enemies as of, like, Mission 20. And they've got the usual suspects, like the ants, And I actually really like the way the ants do melee attacks in this game. They walk up to you, they lift their head up, and they bang it down on your head. And it is brilliant. It is actually kind of great. It looks way better than the usual ant melee attack. But they've changed a bunch of enemies as well, like the spiders. The spiders don't actually shoot webs at you anymore directly. They shoot them at you to slow it down, and then they have tons of mini spiders that come off the back of them, jump at you in a sort of suicide attack. It's great. They're Hector replacements, which I can't remember what their name now, but they're pretty cool too. They have a few different kinds of attacks, although I fucking hate their I absolutely fucking hate their attack, which is basically just a long-range railgun, which you can't hear coming and takes off a ton of your health, especially on high difficulties. But yeah, you've also got shit like this. Scorpions that throw poison. Hi.
There are giant versions of these things too. Even regular ones have been known to kill humans with their venom, but at this size, I can't imagine.
But yeah, the main problem with this guy is inertia. That's kind of the problem. Also, yeah, swords, I forgot. Swords do have projectiles, but in order to actually really do damage, you want to get up close. Yes. Oh, yes. That is actually the coolest thing ever. Smack, smack, smack. Thank you. They've actually made melee weapons kind of viable. I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, as you can see,
We'll have to wait for the doctor's final report then.
it's the inertia. It makes it really hard to be precise.
These are the ones that took out Squad 6.
Although I got to admit, the Pale Wing equivalent plus the sword? Like, why not? Why the fuck not? Speaking of which, hi. Down he goes.
Damn it! We can't aim in this darkness. The same goes for them. Hide yourself as you fight.
You see, I'm kind of having trouble with stopping here because I've got that forward momentum and not much can stop it. That's the main reason why these guys are a bit of a dick. I mean, you can argue that it's a fair bit of skill, there's a fair bit of skill involved in not, like, overexerting yourself when you don't need to. But yeah, it's just worth noting that that's a thing, and it kind of sucks.
This is Squad Leader. We've located Squad 6.
Still, this is pretty cool.
No survivors.
Smack.
Log the coordinates and return to base.
One thing I do want to talk about, though, is the new game, just general is the general experience of a new game. Also, I should point out that you don't actually upgrade your health by collecting armor kits in this game, you actually buy it in tiers. So, you get, like, you start out with 100 health, and then you spend money to get to 200, then to 400, then to 600, then to 1,000. It's something like that. And you just continue upgrading like that as you get the money. Which is cool. Well, I just took out 2 at once. Yes. I will not argue with this chain of events. Good night, sunshine. These guys are dicks. But yeah, the new game experience. I just want to talk about that for a bit because it's kind of annoying. You start out being put into a prologue mission that you can't quit out of and you can't change your difficulty on. And then once you get put into the main game, you get to go on mission 1 and 2, but you don't actually get to change your difficulty until you get to like mission 3. And I was struggling through hardest on mission 2 and mission 3 because I thought, well, if they're letting me do it, if they're letting me pick hardest straight away without like actually limiting my progress in it like they did on Earth Defense Force 5, for example, you might end up thinking, oh, then maybe it'll actually be possible. It is, it's not worth the effort. And I ended up changing to a new game thinking, oh, they're just gonna fuck me over from now on, aren't they? They're just gonna be like, oh, you have to, shit. Oh god, I'm surrounded. Run. Ow. Didn't mean to do that. Run away, run away. Oh crap, alright. just hit this guy from long distance. But yeah, for whatever bloody reason, whatever damn reason, they've given you the ability to go on hardest when it's really not worth the effort to start there. So, and it does work, as I said, on regular old EDF rules. So, you know, the higher you go, the harder it gets, but the better gear you get. And again, due to the fact that your resources are often limited as sin, you do really want to be careful about that. I'm just gonna finish him off. Oh god. Oh no. Yeah, I gotta run. I gotta run away. I should have bought a fucking health pack or something. Damn. Sometimes you just can't find health packs. That's not great. Yeah, let's just run away. Drop the skyfish and hope for the best. Nah, this is it. I'm dead. Oh well. The end of the mission was at the end of that 4-minute countdown anyway, so it's not that big a deal. What else is there to talk about? Actually, yeah, there are a couple of other things I need to talk about, so we'll go and swap to the Trooper and we'll do one final mission. Second. Yeah. Trooper. Here's your hit point capacity, by the way. So yeah, if I have 50,000 credits, I can go to 2,900. And it just continues up like that. And you can also do multiple at once, like that. So yeah, 3.8 million credits to get to the maximum health. Actually a pretty good way to make sure that people can't do shit like play everything on hardest, if you, since that seems to be something that they're focusing on recently. I wonder what the difference is between this blade. Slide slash, so it actually does some extra damage off to the side. Okay, but let's just pick something fun, huh? We'll go with the huge-ass shotgun and the GK Predator. Sure. And we'll pick a mission. Oh yeah, there are missions where you also go up against humans, but they're very, very, like, thin on the ground. Like, I've only done, like, one mission where you have to actually fight those guys. Yeah, hyenas, why not? We'll actually do this one. That actually sounds like a decent idea. Let's go.
This is Squad Leader. As reported before, the rebellion is trying to rob resources from the former North American branch warehouse.
Roger that, Squad Leader. Blast team will take it from here.
Alright, so let's talk about graphical performance. The game itself is a small, but otherwise pretty notable step up from Earth Defense Force 5. I will absolutely say that. I just want to point out that there are some things about it which aren't great. Like, yeah, you've got motion blur and stuff, but you can turn that off. There are a couple of other things, though, that I'm not a fan of. Like, for example, the minimap. Not graphics related, but whatever. The minimap is kind of broken. It makes everything look way higher and way out of place than it actually is. Like, would you have guessed? Like, did you see how that dot there just jumped from the top to the bottom? It just kind of just disappeared and went up and went down in the same place and it looked like it moved like 20 feet. Yeah, that's kind of broken. And there are also some things that are actually really annoying. Like, exploding buildings is actually pretty impressive in this game. With that said, the problem with them is that they're way more impressive than Earth Defense Force 5, for example. The fragments are a lot better. It doesn't feel like it's just one big hole just collapsing into a giant mess. And it has... It looks good. Like, it looks really good when a building just completely and utterly falls apart in this game. Here's the problem, though. Pieces can land on you and actually do damage to you and knock you flat on your ass. And they give you a trophy the first time they do it, too. This also includes enemy corpses. And by enemy corpses, I mean anything larger than the ants. So, the big robot dudes and the dropships and all that. If they land on you, they will knock you over, they will take some of your health away, and they'll leave you open to attack. I don't like this. This is something that hasn't been a thing in Earth Defense Force since the original game. For very good reason, because you tend to be right under these things when they go down sometimes. So, you just kind of want to be careful of that, and this game has just decided that no, that's not what we want. We want people to absolutely hate having buildings coming down on top of them. Because, yeah, that's a thing. Yes, also they can knock you over even though he's technically friendly right now, which is kind of annoying. That's right. He was my superior. Oh look, items. They give you these sometimes. They gave me a landmine. A singular landmine. What is this gonna do? Oh hey, Bomb Beetle. This is a new enemy. When they die, they explode. Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise for me the first time. The Trooper actually has his dodges limited this time, which seems kind of against the point of the Trooper. Or should I say the Ranger. I don't get it. I really don't. I'm not sure why. Yes, boom. Everything goes boom and it's all very pretty. Oh, can you leave me alone? Can you stop knocking me flat on my ass, please? Thank you. Let's kill that Bomb Beetle before I dare go anywhere near it. They can also charge you with the Fury of 1,000 Suns like that one just did. Knock you flat on your ass and do a ton of damage. So do I even have time to pop out the Skyfish? Now watch me die. That wasn't going to kill me. I have 2,400 health. I can probably go play hard and not feel a thing, but... yeah. There's like one enemy left. Chances are I'm not going to get the Skyfish before that enemy ends up dead, because the AI in this game, at least on normal, is relatively competent.
Connecting operation system to vehicle.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Ooh, I get lasers. I also get Afterburner. I can also turn on the sight, but you have to hold it down for some reason, although I think you can actually change that. Okay, yeah, this thing is really hard to control. Thankfully, you can just hold the circle button and eject! They even say it there, like, it even has, like, exclamation points. It's silly. Missions are also kind of short, and there are a lot less... well, you can get big swarms, but unless they are going to magically pull out some massive swarms, there are definitely smaller swarms in this game than in any other EDF that I've played previously, and I've played all of them, so yeah.
How much energy core do you have left?
12%.
Is that enough?
It'll have to be. Core replacements are deducted from your salary.
So yeah, that was a look at Earth Defense Force Iron Rain. It does a lot of things that I really appreciate. Like, you even got presets now, loadouts, more or less, which is kind of neat. I haven't made any use of them, but they're there if you want them, which is cool. There are some things I really like. Like, I really appreciate the Prowl Rider feeling like a relatively unique class, although at the same time it kind of makes the Jet Lifter, i.e. the Pale Wing, feel kind of irrelevant. I like how they've done things like with the Heavy Striker, how they give him more shields. I like how all the weapons, well, it's a bit of a give and take in some situations. Like, I do like how all the weapons can be used across all the classes, so you don't have to worry about doing 4 different sets of weapons, but it also gets rid of some of the individual identity. Same thing with the items. I like the fact that you can take along vehicles and healing items and grenades and just whatever you feel the necessary need to take. Again, it just makes all the classes feel a little bit less unique about each other, so it's I guess it's whether or not you like the uniqueness of the classes or not, that'll be the main thing. The actual gameplay itself is, well, it feels on point. It feels like Earth Defense Force, although it feels like a slightly different take on Earth Defense Force, which, again, I appreciate. Just a little change here and there, nothing too out of the ordinary looking at you Insect Armageddon. The swarms are smaller, but it looks nicer. The story, i.e. the voice acting and the writing, is absolute arse. It's even worse in this one than it was in Earth Defense Force 5, except Earth Defense Force 5 and 4.1 and what have you are all relatively well written to be camp. This game is just shit. I don't know how the difference works, but that's just the thing. There are some things that really should have been sorted out, like the minimap being kind of broken for anything that's above and below you. I wish there was less momentum on certain characters' movement abilities to make them easier to control, and a couple of other things, but still. It's a good enough Earth Defense Force game. They made a decent enough effort at it, and if you're willing to just completely ignore the story like I've been doing, you'll probably have a good time. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. They've done a decent enough job. I personally wouldn't rank it above EDF 2, 4, or 5, but I would probably put it above 2017. So yeah, it's better than at least one Earth Defense Force game. So, you know, all credit to ya. Thumbs up. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.